Hi, and welcome back to Worm Watts, where we harness the God-given power of compost worms to transform organic waste into amazing living fertilizer. Today, I'm not in a bin. I am staring at a lot of produce scraps that came from a local grocery store. And I went through this and pulled out some of the leafy vegetables that I figured we could ferment. And I've actually got a fly flying around trying to investigate what's going on. Again, I don't mind the flies getting into this because if the fermentation goes well, they and all of their larvae will die. But we're going to go ahead and try to test out our bokashi sawdust, our bokashi substrate that we're using. And we're going to test it out on these scraps here. So I've largely got leafy vegetables. I've got one bell pepper that's kind of gone bad. And then I've got a little bit of avocado and avocado pit. So I'm going to be using this icing bucket for the fermentation. And as you can tell right there, it is a 2.5 gallon bucket. These are nested actually, so I've actually got one bucket inside of another one. You can see that's the bottom one with the no holes drilled in that one, so it's nice and intact. And then this is the top bucket that sits inside of the bottom one. And I'm gonna undo the lid so that you can see that this one has holes drilled in the bottom, and that just allows for any of the leachate, the effluent, to drip off as the items ferment in here. So what I might do actually, I think these are enough holes, but I did consider for a minute there just going ahead and drilling some more holes just to make sure that everything is able to drain out effectively. All right, so I did pull out the drill and make some more holes in here, so I feel like it's nice and got plenty of holes for drainage of any effluent. That's the liquid that would run off as it ferments. So we'll set that there. And at this point, usually when I'm setting up my bokashi, I like to get a nice layer of the bokashi substrate in the bottom. So here's our bucket. We'll just go ahead and get a nice size handful there, and we'll make sure that it just layers the bottom nicely. All right, now with that done, we'll go ahead and add in some of our good stuff. So just gonna get a nice handful of this green leafy stuff, toss it in there. Toss in as much as we can, and we're gonna mash it down. I do imagine that this will easily and quickly break down just because most of this is water. And so even though the first day may be kind of difficult to get it all packed in there, the next time we come back and actually open it, it's not going to be difficult at all to deal with. Now, I actually made a mistake here and went a little bit too thick in terms of my first layer. So I don't want a super thick first layer before I add some more bokashi substrate. So last time I was in here, I was using a little scoop here, like this. This time I might actually just use this little cup hole here, this little measuring cup. Just makes things a little bit easier. Just get some of that, and we'll just sprinkle it in there. Sprinkle it on top of those greens. All right. Now lid back on. And now we'll go ahead and get some more of the greens and put them in there. All right. So we got a nice little layer there. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to get another Another good bit of the substrate. And I might just get all of the substrate that I want to use for this batch. That way I don't have to be in and out of here quite so much. All right, so I've got a nice several cups of this. We'll sprinkle. That's more than enough. And then we'll get back to adding some more of the greens. And this is intact. I'd like to bust it, so I'm gonna just pop it open like that. And that just helps to have more surface area, more of it exposed, so that it's not just on the exterior of the bell pepper there. And we'll just layer that as well. And then we'll get more greens. We're almost done. And I don't even think this will end up being about even a third of the volume once it really breaks down. But it should ferment really nicely. Again, we're just going to incorporate some more of the bokashi substrate. And this last little bit could probably go in all at the top. I think this could all be one layer. So just push that down. And there's actually a grape, a solitary grape in there. But that is the totality of the produce scraps that we got. At least the green matter. So we'll go ahead and put all of that in there. And expose this so that it gets some of the bokashi in that leftover avocado there. And I like to layer the top kind of heavy, kind of thick. All right, so that looks pretty good. And I'll just give it a little shake around, just kind of distribute the substrate in there to more parts. The more contact, the better. It's kind of like tossing a salad, basically. And at this point, we're going to go ahead and seal it. And we'll just leave it now for several weeks. Probably about two weeks should be enough. And hopefully by that point, it will have fermented. This actually does smell really sweet, and I did not smell that when I was putting it away. But just given the time to sit and kind of age, when I open it, it smells like it's a bit of a mix between some of the woody smell and then this kind of sweet smell. It's really quite something. So I'm really excited, and I hope that scent is a further sign of the activity of the microbes, and that they've really taken hold in the substrate. So this is our fermented product. We'll mark the date down. I've got a digital record of it, and we'll come back to this in a couple weeks, and hopefully it'll have really broken down. We'll have some nice liquid in the bottom, and we'll be able to incorporate that into one of our worm bins. So very neat. I love being able to repurpose food scraps, and it's nice to be able to get them from a local grocery store. Obviously there's a lot of waste that ends up, produce that goes bad and things like that they toss. So glad to be able to put that to good use and return it to the cycle. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again. At least in this bucket, we'll see you again in 2 weeks.